Welcome back, everyone. In this next session, we're exploring how music can help the body feel safer and more settled. I'm joined by Dr. Steve Koch, a chiropractor, musician, and energy healer whose work is grounded in years of hands on experience with the physical body and how sound and frequency support the nervous system regulation. The music you were just listening to while we're waiting for this session is called Emerging by his band, Martyrs of Sound, and it is actually currently charted at number 8 on the New Age chart. So congratulations, Steve, and welcome to the summit.
Thank you, Dr. Sandra. It's so great being here and seeing you.
So I have a lot of questions about music, and I'm going to ask the first one that's been on top of mind for a while. There's a lot of conversation in wellness spaces about the different tuning standards, especially the 432 hertz, often framed as more natural or regulating than the modern tuning. From your perspective, what's helpful for people to understand about tuning, standardization, and how sound actually affects the body? And I have to ask, is that why we're really all waking up at 3:30 in the morning?
So, well, you might not like my answer. So I'm hearing the music in the background. Is that supposed to be going?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it too loud for you?
Yeah, it was too loud. I couldn't. It was over my own voice, so I was
Oh,
not.
okay. Okay.
That was sorry. It was just
Oh, that's
distracting a bit
okay.
there. Yeah. So you might not like my answer, but I don't pay any attention to that. I know people are all over it, and it's the big thing, and you can get the different tuning at and play them for 8 hours on YouTube, and I think it's fantastic. I love that people are exploring things like that. I guess I'm still in the Stone Age. Um, I, you know, I haven't paid any attention to that or given it any notice to affect what I'm doing. One day I might, but it's been low priority, and I found that it hasn't been necessary to do what I want to do with music and healing to delve into that. Um, it's I guess it's a bit too cerebral for me. It's too much. Everything I've tried to look into it, and it's just so in the head and so cerebral. And I'm more about the gut brain and that part of the nervous system, how we feel the music, how we take it in, and I'm sure that tuning affects it. Um, and I know people will disagree with me and say I'm, again, I'm stuck in the Stone Age. But you know what? My favorite thing about music is to get out a big old drum that's just made of a log and an animal skin over it and use my hands and make sounds that I feel through my body and resonate through the room. And I know that works. So, when I didn't mean to use Stone Age as a reference, but that is enough for me.
Well,
I can sit down with my djembe and get people dancing, moving their feet, or laying out in relaxation, all kinds of different things. So, yeah, sorry I don't have more on that, but
no, actually, you just answered my next question too, but I'm gonna say it honestly was just a curiosity for me because 'cause I've not done a lot of research. I look around and I almost wondered, like, is it fake news? Is this really real?
mm,
What difference does it make? I've looked at some of the science behind it, and they always say, "This is why you wake up at 3:30 in the morning," and I'm like, "Really? Like, is that really so?" So when it came up with, when you agreed to be on the summit, I thought, "I'm gonna ask Steve." He
yeah,
comes from a medical background, and he comes from a deep musical background.
I
So,
could I
I
could be
think I
total.
think my
Me too.
answer is I still don't know if it's fake news or not. It's really irrelevant, but it truly was a big curiosity for me. So,
Hmm.
for you as a musician, and I believe you just answered this question, like, from the nervous system response, what matters most, the specific tuning or the music created in the experience? I mean,
Right, right.
that's a lot more real to me, so actually your answer made sense.
Okay. Good, good. Yeah. To me, it's the overall vibe. We're
Yeah,
talking about vibrations, and music is a vibration. one of, something that blew me away when I first started learning about guitar. And my guitar teacher was this very cosmic guy, John Doan. He plays the harp, Celtic harp guitar. It's got like 30 strings, and he's this way out there guy. And first thing he said, he hit a string, and he goes, in so much time and space, that note divides and then divides and divides and keeps dividing and dividing. And I go, for how long? And he goes, forever. And that one thing there clicked me into, because everything I studied about yoga, every word we speak, every vibe we put out there is infinite, and it goes on. It might be undetectable because it gets to be such on a spectrum that we can't perceive it, obviously. But every vibration goes on and on and on. And in the yogic practices, it's the consciousness of our words and our thoughts that is a focus of importance, because everything is vibration. Everything in our known existence is vibrating down to the microcosm of, subatomic particles. Everything is vibrating. So on a gross physical level here, taking music and vibration and sound and using that to have an effect is what interests me. And there's a lot of things that do that, tempo and key and things like. There's a lot of musical things that I've learned over time that are important. But I've just, and I could be wrong, but I've found that the how many hertz it's tuned at is a little gimmicky. And also you got to get in and figure out how to do that on your computer and recording. And I'm not a recording guy. I'm not an engineer. I, I just like making the sound. And like I say, my main thing is I would just love to sit and bang on my drum and and
There you go.
create vibrations and feel it in the gut.
Okay, let's shift this just for a quick minute.
Sure.
From your perspective, just because you are really well-rounded with your background, what does the science actually tell us about how the music supports the nervous system?
Okay. Yeah. Um, it might be at the essence of it. I read a paper about 20 years ago that someone was postulating that the nervous system works on sound waves, not electrical waves. And they went all into all these details about how there's no heat or resistance generated by nervous system conduction. And they went on and on. And this thing made so much sense, and it never saw it again. This is in the early days of the internet. I didn't save it. I tried to find it again. But there's something about that. Maybe our nervous system at this most fundamental level is communicating with sound waves even below what we register as electrical impulses through EEGs and nerve conduction studies. Sound waves may be at the essence of it. And so therefore, sound is affecting it at the most basic level. On top of that, we know that sound affects the nervous system, and also important, the endocrine system, the glandular system, the pituitary, pineal, the thyroid, the thymus. These glands interact with the nervous system back and forth and put out little micro doses of hormones in our system that create our moods, affect our perception, um, way beyond what we know. We used to talk about, the runner's high and endorphins, and there's so much about the glandular system that we don't understand that's going on, and it's tied in intricately with the nervous system. And music affects both of those very deeply.
Okay, that's really helpful for me. We really could take this whole session down a clinical path, but for this session, really, I want to step outside of that setting
Hmm.
and talk about it a little differently. How can we use music more intentionally
Uh,
in our everyday life to really help us manage through life?
I like that question, that approach. It's something we do already. And I like that you said use it more in that way, but we already do that. Most of us, I think, do that. I do that all the time. If I'm wanting to get worked up for something, I'll put on certain music to get my nervous system geared up. I was feeling super mellow this morning and like too relaxed. So I put on some good old music that, I grew up with in the 60s, some real grungy rock and roll. And it got that to just get me pumped up a bit so I can not just be sitting here like, I wanted to have some energy here. So I used
Sure.
that to get me going. And then I tuned in and I put on some of my own stuff I've done for relaxation to calm me down just so I wasn't all amped up before coming into this. And we do that all the time. We'll put on music to create a romantic mood. We'll put on music, the heartbreak music. Everyone's got their heartbreak playlist of, the
Yeah.
songs that when you want to feel that depth of the heart. You might not say, "Oh, I want to feel sad," but you want to feel that thing, and you put on, you know, and sometimes you don't want to feel it. So intentionally, like, I love that song. It's on the radio a lot. Something in the Orange. It's a sad song, a breakup song, and it comes on the radio. And if I'm like, no, I don't want to feel bad right now, and I'll change the station. Or if I'm feeling, yeah, I want to feel that depth of that pain of longing and so forth, I'll let it play. And we all have playlists too. You have your workout playlist you take to the gym. I've got a walking playlist that when I go out walking, I've got my yoga playlist. I've got my go to sleep playlist. And a lot of us are already using this intentionally. So what I'm doing with music and wanting to create is music that can intentionally be used for healing. And because like I say, a lot of people already use this they've got their gym playlist. How many people have a healing playlist, a deep relaxation playlist, an astral projection, float out of your body playlist? And that's the way we can use it more. We can find this music, not just Martyrs of Sound, my band. This is like, I'm late to the game. This has been going on for years and years before I got involved in it 20 years ago. There's a lot of good healing, beyond relaxing music, and people love it too. And look how popular Enya became. She was like the first crossover of new age sound into the mainstream. And everyone who belonged to a CD club back in the day in the 90s, got that Enya CD and listened to it on repeat in the background, just letting it play because it had that soothing effect and that healing effect. And one of her secrets was she didn't just record her voice once or twice. She laid multiple, like dozens and dozens of layers of her voice, doing the exact same tone, not harmonizing, not making it altered different, but doing it exactly the same, which gave it a haunting depth to it that I think that really, was something that caught people. They felt it in their nervous system. They felt this depth, like someone was sitting in a cave doing some ancient chant, because it had this serious, the vibe was so deep and so intense. I don't know if that answers your question, but we can use intentional music intentionally in our everyday
Absolutely.
life,
I
just
and
playing it in the background.
I was one of those people in the CD club who got my tape, and you're right, there's definitely a certain vibe, and there's a mood or a longing or something that you're looking for,
Mhm.
that you look for the music, and it takes you deeper and deeper and deeper with that. So let's shift away from the one-on-one part of the music. What are your thoughts on group music making, like singing and drumming and even dancing? How do these
Mm.
affect social bonding and emotional regulation?
So several things happen when we do that. We connect with others, and our nervous systems, I believe, actually start linking up. Our hearts start beating to the same rhythm. Our heart rate changes. Our like I was talking about, the glandular system, pituitary pineal glands start secreting differently, and we feel it. Most people know it. You get into a group of people and you're playing that music and you like that music and they start moving, dancing. Or when you're playing music with people, man, that is, to me, that's the ultimate high when you connect with others and you're making the music, and it's like one mind gets created. So if one mind is being created, that means our nervous systems are linked together and we're connected. Like when I'm playing music with certain people, I know when we're going to change or stop or pick up or drop down. And it's not cues. It's not like someone gives, the wink, like, okay, now we're going to, change up. Because a lot of times when we're doing this, we have our eyes closed. It's all hearing and feeling. And when you connect on that depth, obviously our our brains, our all our nervous system, everything's connected because things happen too fast. We change up, and it's because it automatically. It's like the school of fish. They're all going this way, then they all go that way. How do they? 100 fish all turn exactly at the same time. It's like a one mind, and I think that's something that a lot of people enjoy, getting into that connection. And I think it's important too. Um, I've done a lot of the improvisational, what some people call ecstatic dance or free form movement. And when you do that with people time after time, say week after week for months and years, maybe you barely speak to them, but I feel like I know those people sometimes better than, say, people I work with or neighbors and so forth. There's something about letting down all the image and the words and the facade and connecting on a primal level. And like I say, there's people who I play music with and dance with or done drum circles with who I feel like I know that in them at a depth that you can't get through by talking and hanging out other ways. And I believe that's because our nervous systems are in tune. They're in trained. In training is the term that's used when your nervous system and brain link up with something and become one with it. It's like on that same track.
So that's interesting that you say that. So it's like it's its own communication and its own communication and language in its own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting as telepathy is getting a lot of conversation and awareness now.
Mm,
We were talking, I was thinking this almost feels like it almost feels like a different version of telepathy. It really is
mm,
communicating and interacting with someone on a whole different level that doesn't use language or words. Because as you were sharing, I was feeling being back in a drum circle, that kind of thing. And I thought, yeah, this really is like it's a different, unique connection and language of its own. But I honestly had never thought of it that way till you said it. So I do want to go back to something else you said that
mm.
interested me. How does it feel different being the person up on the stage providing the music, being the person who's in the audience experiencing the music, or is there a difference?
Um, there's not much of a difference to me. At first, sometimes there's some nerves, obviously, and many great performers say if you're not nervous, then something's going wrong. You should feel some energy and a little bit of stir up. But after it gets going, there's not a difference. I feel connected, just like they're using their body, or they're just, if they're not moving or dancing, they're using their ears and their mind. They're connected with the music too. And I feel that our nervous systems connect the same way as if they were playing. Oftentimes I'll forget that I'm playing and I'll be like, oh, I like that sound. Where's that coming from? And I'll look down and I'll go, oh yeah, I'm doing that. And I better keep doing it or it's going to stop. Um, and I think a good example of that connectedness of audience and the musicians is Grateful Dead shows. If you've ever been to the old Dead shows, um, the audience and the band were one. It was just all one big mass of energy and all connected. And those guys understood music and connection and healing at the top degree.
Okay, well, yeah, they definitely attracted audiences, individuals across generations and across different subcultures.
Mm-hmm.
So they truly did have an
Yeah,
understanding of it.
it unites people. Music can unite people and bring people together. And, you know, it's kind of cliche to say we're in a time of crisis now. When have human beings not been in crisis? It's just we're, I think, more aware of it. It's more impactful and um, hitting us more in our everyday life. And music, I think, is a tool that can bring us together and bring healing and bridge that gap across these different ways that we think, because music is beyond thinking. And it's not about what ideology or what thoughts or your opinions. It takes you to a state of we're all feeling a basic human thing in the same way, because music goes, beneath all that surface stuff down to the core. Like I was saying earlier, the gut brain to me is important to hit there. And I like to create music that goes into there at a very deep level. I test all my music by listening to it many, many times over and over again, and making sure that it stays in here and doesn't just go up into here. I mean, you can listen to it and you go, oh, I like that sound and that. But to me, it's got to resonate in the body and through the nervous system specifically. And to me, that'll be something that can hopefully bridge some of these gaps that we're feeling um, in
I
our.
totally agree with you. It's interesting to me because I feel like most music is not in the brain, and
Mm,
it really does live in the nervous system. But what I would say is if you talk to people in general, they would be unconscious
mm,
that their body is having specific reactions to it, or that they're listening to a piece of music to get a reaction from their body. And they're not necessarily connecting the two. Can you expand a little bit about maybe how someone out there can develop their own personal awareness of something that they had been more unconscious about with music?
sure, sure. I recommend while you're listening to something, besides just enjoying or listening to it, give a little awareness to thinking, where do you feel it in your body? Physically, where do you feel it? What thoughts are coming up? Are memories coming up? Are feelings coming up? Are you thinking of certain people, a place or a time? Music is beyond time, but it links into times. You can hear a song and remember when you heard it first, or remember when you were driving in a car somewhere and a fun time. And that's why they use music in movies so much, to stimulate that feeling along with what you're watching and hearing people speak. But I'd say just become more aware. Pay attention when you're listening to music. Where is it hitting? What are you thinking? What emotions is it bringing up? And the more you tune into that, then you can start doing it purposefully. You go, oh yeah, I need to feel relaxed. So you go, oh yeah, I've got that song that relaxes me, or I need to feel joyous, or you know what, I'm thinking about my deceased loved one, but I'm feeling blocked. So let me put on, let me hit that song that always brings the tears up and touches me deeply. And we can use it in for all kinds of things. Once we start identifying, the first step is to be still, breathe, pay attention. That's the key to everything. Be still, breathe, pay attention, and then go from there. My first music lesson was a friend said, we're sitting on drums, and he said, I'm going to play, listen to what I do, you play, listen. If it sounds good, keep playing. If it doesn't sound good, stop and listen again. And that's it. Just it all starts with listening. It's being still and listening.
Okay. It's a whole body affair, the music. So it's I guess they call it playlists today, but back in the day of creating mixtapes, it's exactly what you
Mixtapes.
said.
Yeah.
You would make a mixtape for a road trip. You would make a mixtape if you met someone that you wanted to connect more deeply with. You would make mixtapes definitely based on specific topics or actions that you were doing, and then you would play them for that. That makes so much
Mm-hmm.
sense. Hmm. Well, thank you for reminding us that music doesn't have to be complicated or clinical
Mm.
or deeply regulating. It can be healing just in its own personal way for each person. I know we could get a lot into just vibration and vibration healing, but I think music is very unique to the individual. as well as the intent of the music when they're listening. So I really appreciate you being here. And I do want to let everyone know that a lot of the music that you'll be hearing throughout the summit and that you've heard today is from Sound of Martyrs. Steve so graciously has allowed us to use it throughout the summit. And just to give you a little shout out, I heard that recently your album was just nominated for New Age Album of the Year. So congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that was a surprise and exciting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice surprises.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to learn more about Steve and his music, you can go to his website, martyrofsound.com. Again, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks. It's always good to see you. It's so nice to talk with you.